Hi, my name is Fernanda. I'm an intuitive coach, and this is At Spiritual Speed, a podcast for enlightenment. My intention here is for you to find inspiration, for you to find gems of knowledge, and for you to see that it is possible to get past where you're at in life. Whether that be a good space, a stagnant space, or a not so good space, I want you to operate at your full potential. I want you to powerfully move forward, purposefully move forward. And this is the space where you could find that inspiration, where you could find that education. So let's ascend, let's enlighten at your spiritual speed. It's the energy, man. We're like overloading Riverside.
Ooh, I know, right?
We can start off. You introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about you and what you do for a living and whatnot.
My name is Sabrina. I am known as Woke AF Mommy on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And I primarily now help people through their healing journey so that way they can become in the highest, most optimal vibration so that way they can bring in their most abundant selves and their most abundant lives. I either do that through tarot, mediumship. I also do that through past life hypnosis. Reiki, I'm a Reiki master teacher as well as being a musician. So I have several different ways that I like to explore and meet with my clients or people or whomever that I come across with, but that's basically what I do for a living, which I'm very blessed to do. I'm very happy to be able to do that.
And that's how I found you. I found you on TikTok a little over a year ago, right? And then
Yes.
we started our mentorship. You started mentoring me around February. And I remember the
Oh my
beginning of
gosh.
you were like, that was the beginning of this year, and you were like, "Hey, you need to get on YouTube. You need to start recording stuff." And I was like, "No, I'm scared. I gotta do some stuff still." And then
Yeah,
here we are. Like
here
this
we
will be
are.
just like you said to do the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I remember meeting you and going like, wait a second, I think you can do what I do and you should. Like you should do this because you'd be very good at it.
Amazing that
Yeah.
those couple months that we were working together were just like you and my therapist are extremely like huge reasons why I am where I am right now, and I'm
Oh, that's
walking into this
awesome.
I'm walking into.
That's awesome.
I know from experience what you do and how amazing you are with helping people find themselves and pull out their purpose and transmute their energy. So, huge testament.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, one of the things that I really I, I mean, if I can say this myself, like I feel like I'm good at helping people find the root of their trauma and helping them work through that, the healing. Um, I don't like to say necessarily release the trauma
Hmm.
because that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Like if you break your arm, you're not going to cut off your arm.
Yeah.
That would be ridiculous. Right? But you need the 8 weeks of rest, right? After that traumatic event where you broke your arm, right? And then you probably will need some physical therapy in order to be able to use your arm at its optimal level again, like you were before.
Yeah.
And I feel like the same is true for trauma. You can't like just kind of say, well, it never existed. That would be like saying, well, I never broke my arm,
Yeah.
right? You're always going to have the memory of that, like falling out of the tree when you were a kid or something like that. Um, but it's about like taking those experiences and applying them in your everyday life. But how do we get to the point where you're not afraid of it anymore?
Mm, mm, mm. Yes. Yeah.
That's that's the point. That's what I feel like I specialize in. Um, But unlike a therapist will be like, okay, let's like work through it. Like it takes several sessions in order to get to the point where um, we're now at the root of the problem.
Hmm.
Because I have tarot and because I'm intuitive,
Hmm.
um, that'll come out sometimes in the first 20 minutes, 5 minutes. I mean, depends on the session with a client, you know?
Yeah. I love that. I love how you said
So,
like your arm, right? Because you can't live without your arm. We need the arm. We're not going to cut it off,
right.
but how do you heal it? How do you mend it? It's still useful. So let's
Hmm.
find our way around that, which is unique to everybody, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Like, so trauma is trauma, but everybody's trauma is unique to them. And how do we get to the point where it is now a tool in your toolbox rather than a trigger in your toolbox?
oof. Quote her, please. Quote her. Wow, that's
Yeah,
yes, exactly. Because it's all for something, right? Like you taught me that you're like, everything is power, everything is for a reason. How, like you said, how do we make it a tool? And that
right,
is when you have that in your mind and you're working with somebody like yourself that's intuitive, you could talk to my spiritual team. There's no limit to what you can do.
right. That's exactly right. Yeah. And that's something that I had to figure out for myself very quickly. Um, when I embarked on this, well, not very quick. I guess quickly isn't the right word. I guess like over time, you know, you start to figure out how to do this. But when I started doing more and more readings, um, I would get clients coming in for their one-on-one sessions, for their readings, and their trauma was similar to my own trauma,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so I had to, I guess that's the reason why it was quick, because especially in like the very first clients I ever had that triggered or reminded me of my own personal trauma in various aspects throughout my life,
Mm-hmm.
I had to be like, well, wait a second. I'm drawing from my own experience, right? Like so the way my intuition works is my guides will show me my own trauma, they'll show me memories, or they will actually like pick me up and put me in the memory of my client.
Oh wow.
um so sometimes it's really intense when it's like that, but other times when they're like, it's like this, like when they're showing me a comparison where they're like, it's like that time you fell out of the tree,
Mm,
or it's like that time you got in a car accident, or it's like that time, you know, maybe sometimes it's a little heavier, like sexual abuse.
yeah.
It's like that time, and I have to go, okay, I need to be able to be completely okay and comfortable with the fact that that is something that happened in my history,
Mm-hmm.
in my life, and now I'm going to draw from that and everything that I ever learned and everything I ever did to heal, and apply that, and now pass that on, forward it onto this person, this other soul that's here with me. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? So
Uh-huh.
I can't sit there and have a meltdown with them, right?
Yeah.
Like I have to like apply it now. Um and I think that's been like one of the biggest blessings. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think if everybody had that experience of like teaching, right? And applying their own experience to the next person, like healing would happen a lot faster. I think. I don't know.
It's like a domino effect, right? And that's what you're doing. You're like this beautiful wildfire that's spreading this power and this confidence throughout the collective, through your clients, because you taught me that. And then I get to go on and
Yes.
teach my clients that. So it's just the domino effect is so real. And that's that the confidence, the spiritual confidence that you give your clients is just, it's priceless what you do.
Oh, I'm
You
so
mentioned
glad. Thank you.
you're welcome. You mentioned like protecting yourself too. So you go in these sessions and you learn how to protect yourself from the jump. And then on top of that, now there's a teacher, the mentor aspect, right, of protecting yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
how you taught me how to do my white light over me and call in Archangel Michael, how to protect
100%.
yourself.
I was taught by one of my cousins, actually, who's also very intuitive. Like, I'm very fortunate to come from an intuitive family. It wasn't something that, like, it was at the forefront of our family life, but I have a cousin that, like, dove really deep into her spiritual life and her intuition. And she taught me how to pull in the white light into my crown. Um, and basically, what that is like it's a meditation, and I like you can sit in silence, but I like to listen to Tibetan singing bowls, or what's it called? Binaural beats.
Oh,
Um, But it started with Tibetan singing bowls for me. And I would listen to that and meditate, and I would just breathe in the white light. I would visualize the white light coming into my crown, and I would breathe it in, and I would allow the white light to go into like every square inch of my body, and I would breathe out darkness, negativity, anxiety, stress, anything that I didn't want. Um, and I did that for several years. Um, and then as I started to get into Dolores Cannon,
Mm,
um, and then I started taking I took her class, her first class to become a past life regressionist,
mm,
which is in hypnosis. And in that class, the subconscious talks about doing a pyramid, the pyramid of protection.
oh, wow.
And so I kind of combined, like, it's kind of combining the two of them. And I think Dolores Cannon does talk about this in the class where you have like the white light coming in through your crown, but the pyramid is here,
Mhm.
and it's a four-pointed pyramid. And I love it because I visualize myself inside of this pyramid, and I visualize like energy that's like, because I can't control like what's happening around me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's ridiculous. The only thing I can control is myself, right?
When you do your TikTok readings, you start that protecting your space. So I know that's really pivotal for you and making sure that you're operating at your highest self.
Yeah, I don't do a single reading without uh, first saying that prayer.
Hmm.
And I don't know if it's like the Catholic in me,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I mean, I'm not a practicing Catholic anymore, but growing up with that, you definitely take things with you, right? It's just like trauma, like you keep
Mhm.
it stays with you, right?
Yeah. But learning how to use it in a different way is a different tool in a different energy
Right.
than you were when you were 10 years old in the church.
100%. Yeah. So yeah, and over time I just kind of created those prayers like I know that I'm known for stop scrolling my love. And um
Yeah.
right, like I know that I'm known for that, but it just kind of came to me one day, and that it kind of stuck. So I'm really glad it works. It works for me, so we're just going to keep doing it.
In your spiritual journey, how did that start? You said that you have a cousin that's spiritual and it's kind of in the family.
Well, like I was saying, I grew up Catholic. I was super Catholic. Like I even wanted to be a nun at one point.
Whoa.
Um, that did not work out for me. Turns out sex is really nice, and um, I worked in the Catholic Church as a musician, so a lot of people in the spiritual, I guess, community don't know. Like, I was a professional musician for 20 years, and I played the viola professionally, and I'm a classically trained violist.
Wow.
Um, so I had music jobs. I gigged for a really long time, and I played at a lot of churches, Catholic, um, Christian. Um, I played all over the place. I played in Jewish rituals and bar mitzvahs and stuff like that. So I've played in a lot of different things.
Wow.
Um, and over time, like doing all of those gigs, like you just kind of see how everything is kind of the same.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I took away from all of those years as a musician playing all of these services was the amount of power that institutions like religions
Mm-hmm.
were wanting, having, and going after from the common person.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's like a really taboo thing to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it
Okay.
because I realize how power hungry some people are. And not everybody is like that. There are absolutely people in these institutions that are really there for the for the right reasons, and they're there for the people. And I've met those people, and they're wonderful, wonderful people. And I've had incredible mentors that I've met through these institutions. But a lot of people were just very power hungry,
Mm-hmm.
and um and it really shied me away from wanting to continue my religious journey.
Yeah.
inside of an institution. Um, and I just kind of lost my way for a while. I remember before I knew I was talking to my guides, I thought I was talking to God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to my guides and I was like, I really want to get married. I really want this life. I really want kids and all that stuff. And they were like showing me a different path. And they were like, well, you could be known as a spiritual person. And I was like, that just sounds crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I also was afraid to be known as a crazy person who could talk to spirits because I had been a medium since I was a child.
Mm.
So I didn't, because, well, that's partially because when I told my family that I was seeing spirits, they told me that I was like attention seeking,
Oh.
right? Right. So I was just like, well, I don't want to go down that path anymore. Like, I don't want to be known as crazy. My awakening was realizing how much of myself I had given away
Mm.
and how much power I had given away and how blind I was
Yeah.
to several truths. And so I started, I couldn't sleep. I think I lost like 20 pounds in 20 days or something like that. It was something ridiculous. Like it was like 20 or 30 pounds in a month.
Oh.
And um, I had so much stress hormones pumping through my body that like the stress hormones started to like seep through my pores. And I remember like I couldn't sleep. Like I can't do this. Like I was just a mess. And I started walking. And anybody that comes and talks to me like knows that like I will like promote walking as much as possible. Um, I started walking and I remember the very first day, like I put on my yoga pants, I put on my shoes and put on a jacket and it must have been 4:45 in the morning.
Whoa.
So I remember stepping foot outside and it was pitch black still and it was cold and it was March.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, so I think somebody's there
Mm.
because at this point I hadn't prayed, I hadn't talked to God, right? And I knew from all the years in my past that I could hear.
Yeah.
I could hear a voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I kept talking and they were talking back and it was just a really weird experience because I was like, I think you guys are called my spirit guides.
Oh, yes.
And it was like a ding ding ding, like, yay, you figured it out, right? And that's kind of how it started. And um I would talk to my guides in the mornings, do that every day. I did that every day for 7 months. And I got tons of downloads. I remember having a conversation with Jesus at the kitchen table, like, because that, I remember there was a moment when I realized everything that I had ever learned and everything that had ever been taught was a lie. And
Yeah.
I was like, bro, you better get over here now. Like, we need to have a conversation now. Like, I know you're real and I know I'm real, but something isn't adding up. Like, get over here now. And I remember Jesus just kind of be like, yeah, so it didn't go the way as planned. And um, I know, like, for you, like, in our conversations, like, you have a very close connection to Holy Mother. Um,
Yeah.
and
I do.
yeah, there's it's the homegirl, right? And like, and I have actually over time also developed like a very close relationship with Freya, which is also who Holy Mother is modeled after. And um and I've developed a close really like Jesus has never gone away from me, but Freya has like become more and more of a prominent energy for me. And the more I go down this journey, like when you ask about my awakening and my journey, like I realized there was a moment in all of this when I was not with the person I was supposed to be with.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that um, I was with like a karmic partner,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And I remember one day in meditation, so I started meditating morning and night, and I was walking every morning, and I was journaling a ton, and I was doing positive affirmations, and I was doing 3 to 5 things every morning that I was grateful for. Um, and I started gardening a lot, and I started like letting my kids like play in the dirt and the mud, and I would tell them like, let's see who can get the dirtiest by 5 or 6 o'clock, who's gonna earn their bath time today. um and but there was a moment I remember. This is really significant, and it's like actually like kind of like terrifying for me to talk about. um but I remember there was a moment when I knew that my person was out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew my current husband at the time was not it.
Yeah.
And I called them in.
Mm.
And I remember sitting down one day and I was like, you know what? I'm going to call this person in and I'm going to be specific.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about how they are with their mother. I'm going to talk about their hairline. I'm going to talk about things that they do for a living. I'm going to talk about like their height.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about like, and so I wrote down literally, it's not just like, oh, I just want somebody who's like super nice and kind, funny and smart. Like, they got their stuff together. I'm like, no, I'm way beyond that. I tried that already. Like, I'm way beyond this. I want like my person and I can see them.
Mm-hmm.
I know who they are.
Yeah.
And the thing that I've realized is that if you are in a divine counterpart um, journey, because not everybody is.
Mm-hmm.
If you are in a divine counterpart journey, if that resonates with you, you know what your person looks like.
Whew. That is heavy. Yes.
It's amazing. You know what they're like. You know what, like, it's almost as if you can see their smile. You can, like in every relationship that you have, you're like, why doesn't this resonate? And I want more of this and I want more of that. And this part doesn't work for me. And it's because your divine counterpart will provide and be all of those things with you.
Yeah. I believe that. I always say I have like an impossible version of a person I'm going to end up with, but it's not impossible. It's just I know when they show up, it'll be them because I have that list very specific. So
Right.
there'd be no doubt in my mind, like, yep, that one's it.
Yes. So I sat and I manifested this person and they showed up. And it was amazing. But yeah, I ended up manifesting my person and it was incredible, but they were 3,000 miles away.
Oh, wow. Was that part of that was not part of the plan?
I forgot to put geography. I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm dead serious. So this, for everybody listening to this, when you're ready to manifest your person, please include geography. One of the things that I also put down is that like they have their own therapist because I never wanted to have the conversation with my person like the importance of having their own therapist and why their own mental health is important to our uh like relationship health, I guess you could say, right? So that's something that I remember putting down. It's 1:11 right now. I'm sorry, I just had to like mention the synchronicities.
Ooh, and it's 11 seconds. I looked at my watch. It said 1:11 and 11.
No.
Seconds.
Oh,
That's wild.
that's
Yep.
amazing. I love the synchronicities.
About the partner being specific, which I love that, and I love you had mentioned a part of when you're on this divine journey, the person that you're going to bring in and the awareness of them. That was really good. I love that.
Okay, yeah, so that's like actually kind of like a weird thing. So I I believe that when you are calling in your divine counterpart, there are a couple things that go along with that.
Hmm.
The first thing is that your divine counterpart only exists in your highest possible timeline. Okay? Now, the biggest reason why a lot of my messages that are on TikTok, Patreon, YouTube, wherever you see my videos, is about choosing yourself is because you eventually get to the point where on your healing journey, you can only go so far. And this is only if you are on the divine counterpart track.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody is on that. Some people are like, I mean, people listening to this are like, yeah, that totally does not resonate with me. Like, I'm not, like, I know that I'm supposed to be like on my own track. Like, and that's perfectly fine. But if you are on the divine counterpart track, you can only go so far in your healing journey, and then you will eventually you will call in your divine counterpart. So like the healing can only go so far with yourself, with your therapist, with your spiritual guide, you know, whoever your mentor is, whoever that it is that you're working with, or even your divination tools. Yeah. And then at some point, you do need your divine counterpart in order to continue that ascension and healing journey. Mm-hmm. And that is something that I do know for a fact.
Yeah. The balance of life with that specific path that certain people might be.
I think for like, yeah, because I think what's happening there is that like you have to come correct. Mm-hmm. You know? Like at a certain point, like you can't like one of the biggest reasons why relationships fail is because of unresolved trauma. Mm. So like you have all these triggers, right? And then you're mad at your partner because they're triggering you. Yeah. And you're like, well, hold on a second. Like, is your trigger if I'm triggering you, is that my fault? Mm-hmm. Or do you still have healing to do?
Yeah. Accountability.
Right? Accountability, exactly. So there needs to be enough self-reflection and accountability in your own personal self, in your own life, in your own journey, in the individual, in order for you then to come to a partner and go, I know that when they said, whatever they said, right? Like going out to dinner could be like a really easy thing. So let's say like you're in a relationship, right? It was a toxic relationship and somebody asks you, "What do you want to go for dinner? Like what do you want for dinner?" You're like, "I don't know, like I don't know what I want for dinner." And they're like, "Make up your fucking mind already." And you're like, "Whoa, there's a lot of aggression coming from that, right?" Yeah. So when somebody says something that like that to you and all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, you get into like this fight or flight survival mode, right, with your partner, right? And so this becomes like a trauma, right? This is like verbal abuse and this is like emotionally very taxing on you. So now all of a sudden like your adrenaline's up, your heart rate's up, you're secreting stress hormones, and all of a sudden you're like, well, I guess we'll go here. And next thing you know, you're going to the same place every single time you go out, or the same like few places every single time, because you're just like, well, I know I can choose this place. I know we won't fight if we go there. And that's just how it's going to be, even though I want to try new places, even though I want to try this, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you get out of that relationship, right, where somebody is finally not telling you to hurry up and pick a place for dinner, and you get into a new relationship with a divine counterpart, and they ask you, what do you want for dinner? You say, I don't know, but I guess we can go here. Mm-hmm. And then they immediately pick up on your anxiety, your tone of voice changes, right? They pick up on your shoulders, maybe shrugging or whatever, right? And they're like, wait, honey, like, what's going on? Like, do you really want to go there? Yeah. Are you even hungry? Right? And all of a sudden you're like, wait a second. I guess I don't want to eat there and I don't know what I want, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like just simple little things. Or another example is a couple, like you're used to saying sorry because you're always like been made to feel like you're the person in the wrong, especially in narcissistic relationships. Yeah. Right? And then all of a sudden you're with a couple who's like, or with a person, you're with your divine counterpart, and they're like, why are you always saying sorry? Like, you don't have to say sorry to me. Like, like there's nothing to be sorry about. I love you. Like you can exist without being sorry about any part of your existence.
Like patterns, right? Like relationship, yes, but also you think about life patterns that I think you're related
Hmm.
with, and you mentioned that in the beginning, is seeing how people get used to operating in a certain way, and you're applying that to every aspect of life. So for you, how do you stay present in a space where you're able to operate at your highest timeline and not letting those old patterns come back in? Because they try to creep in every now and then.
That is a great question. That is an amazing question, first of all. So I think for me, the thing is that I had to recognize um, what peace felt like. I had to go after what I wanted more than anything, and for me, it was peace.
Mm-hmm.
And um, anything that did not resonate or did not fit with peace and the energy of peace, or what I felt like was peace,
Mm-hmm.
I had to let go. That included that, and unfortunately, and I know this is like the hardest part for a lot of people on their ascension journey,
Mm-hmm.
but the biggest part of that is people. And um, I think that if you have people around you who are constantly um, maybe talking negatively about other people, and that's something that you just don't want to do, you don't want to talk negatively about other people, um, those relationships need to end. It's like, for me, it's cutting out people who do not allow you to be at peace. And sometimes that's nobody in your life,
Accountability
right?
to be you. You are taking
Right.
away.
Right. So realizing that nobody's coming to save you, you are in control of your life, and you get to create the life that you want.
Yes, that part.
You
That was
get to do it.
you are in control. You have control of that life. Your life.
Yes. Yes, you get to do it.
Yes.
So if you wake up and if you're like on your ascension journey, or if you're like in your awakening, right? And you're like, holy shit, I hate my life. What is wrong with my life? Well, take an inventory of the people that are in your life. Take an inventory of what you're doing, like as far as your career, like how are you making money? Are you making money?
Mm-hmm.
Is that how much money you want to make? Do you want to make more money? That's also a really big part of this whole thing too. Some people are just like, I'm living paycheck to paycheck and I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
Um, so that's also a really big part of it. And the other thing is too, is that like if these people that are surrounding you, whether it be family,
Mm-hmm.
friends, coworkers, acquaintances, if they are not contributing and bringing your energetic level to a place of peace, if they do not allow you to function at a place of peace,
Yeah.
then these people have to go.
Like you said, that
Um,
taking an inventory is inner, outer, external, and that goes into the tarot. There's so many spreads that are like with and without, right? All of it is an
right.
influence in your life, and it all affects everything.
Yeah. So I think for me, it was about releasing the people, allowing them to fall away.
Mm.
And as like a recovering people pleaser, and also as a former professional musician, I'm still at the professional level.
Yeah.
I just don't do that for a living anymore. Um, it was like I was in an industry where it was all about who you know,
Mm-hmm.
right? And um and so like it's really easy to be like in that industry and realize like, wow, I have no real friends,
Yeah.
you know? Um so I think it was also a matter of like releasing all of those people.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of people who I thought were friends, you know, I had to release a lot of those people. And I realized that once my life became extremely simplified, I was the happiest I had ever been.
Mm-hmm. Keep it simple. Kiss.
Yeah.
We overcomplicate things,
Yes.
right? As human beings, I'm like, we overthink. We get it's the best salesperson up here, and it'll sell us some BS. And that's where the spiral starts.
And then, but realizing like, well, where did that programming come from?
Mm-hmm.
And reprogramming the brain so that way you're operating in a place that you want to live at.
Makes sense. It's the inner, the outer. It all has an effect on how we operate and what we get out of life. Because, like you said, if you don't want that, if you're not happy with this version of life, then change it.
Uh,
Because we're gonna get to
exactly.
where we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that was my change. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And you could either stay there, and I tell people, look, I could give you a reading. You could go with this, or you could do what you want. Because if you like it, I love it. It's your life, but you have the option to do better if you want.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So when you start to do readings for people and you're seeing this thing, right? Because when you start your healing journey, you realize like, okay, I'm like at maybe like this energetic frequency, and then as you continue your healing journey, you're like, oh wow, I'm like up here soaring with the eagles.
Yeah.
I'm up here like at the mountaintops, right?
Yeah.
You're in, you're like in the sky, like you're able to see so many things from a different perspective. So when you start doing readings for people, you're like, hey, I'm letting you know that like I've got this like eagle eyes perspective,
Yeah.
okay? And like I'm letting you know that the path that you're going on, it's like gonna crash and burn. You may want to do this. And again, people have free will.
Yeah.
They're gonna do what they're gonna do, and that's okay.
But
Hmm.
you made the better choice. There's a powerful purpose to what you do, and it's bigger
Thank
than
you.
just you. Like I said, it's that domino effect. You help all these clients that you have, right? Like each of them are just spreading that word. They're spreading that power. That's insane.
Yeah,
It's like veins of just beauty going throughout the world.
yeah. That's beautiful. That's like the whole idea, because I think the whole thing started in one of those morning walks for me. Um, and I think you can still see it actually on, it might be the first or second video that's posted on my TikTok.
Oh wow.
Um, and I look like a mess, but it's early in the morning, and um, and I remember it had been several months that I had been doing my walks.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember finally getting to the point where I loved myself because I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. I will say that, yeah, like when I began this journey, I didn't love myself.
Yeah.
And I thought it was weird to even say, like, I love myself,
Yeah.
right? And so I remember being elated and blissful and overjoyed, right? That I was like, I love myself. Like, I think I'm awesome.
Yeah.
And I wanted to share this with somebody. And I had this like really um, overwhelmingly, like just this overwhelming sadness come over me
Mm-hmm.
when I realized that I didn't know a single person that I could call and share this with.
Mm.
Like, I didn't know anybody that, like, who had talked about healing and growth and loving themselves in such a profound way that I had now discovered
Yeah.
and I had come to. And I was just like, well, I can't have this. Like I don't want the whole world to not know this feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the reason why I started posting. And it was like, well, if I can figure this out, I know that I can teach other people how to figure this out. Because part of also being a musician, I was a teacher for 20 years.
Oh wow.
So I was like, well, if I can teach anybody how to play the violin, which is one of the hardest instruments to learn,
Yeah.
I was like, well, I can teach people how to do this.
Wow.
I can teach people how to love themselves.
Yeah.
Like,
As human.
this is, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is like totally worth everybody's time.
Mm-hmm. Like it's how we're brought up too, right? It's like don't be conceited, don't be full of yourself. And it's like, no, that's
Yeah.
not it. I mean, there's ego in that too, right? But like in a way that you and I are talking about, it's no, I just love and I've done the work to know that I'm valuable and to know and be very aware. That eagle eye, right? I have
Hmm.
an eagle eye vision of myself we know what we bring to the table in a very humble way, where you want to surround yourself with people that are a reflection of you. Because I love to say, if you hang out with 5 millionaires, you're going to be the sixth. You are who you surround yourself with. So I
Yes.
love that you're on online just preaching to everybody and letting them know. And even the way you started with stop scrolling, my loves, it's like, yes, do you need something? And then you hear this beautiful message, you get this beautiful insight, and something in it hits for everybody, I'm sure. So it's I love
Yeah.
that that's an intention of yours to go out there and just show people how to love, how to just be a human being and know how to love yourself.
Thank you. I had to relearn how to be human,
Mm,
and I had to learn how to love myself and allow myself to be the star of the show, because realizing like every narcissist that had ever told me, well, no, it's not about you, and realizing actually no, it is about me.
mm,
Like last I checked, this is my life,
yeah,
and my life is completely about me.
yeah.
So I want to do what I want to do.
Hmm. I'm the star of this show, this one right here,
Ex- yeah,
right?
exactly.
I tell my kids, take up all your space. You don't ever take up no one else's. But this higher power gave us a 10 by 10 to work with. Take up every single little centimeter of that 10 by 10.
Yes. 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 And that's the joy,
Hmm.
right? Of realizing like and putting all of that energy into yourself. And that was the other thing I should mention too, is that like I realized how much energy I was putting into like this relationship that I was getting nothing back from, right?
Yeah.
And um and I was like, well, what if I start putting the energy back into myself?
Hmm.
And that is so much easier said than done when you're coming out of a like a narcissist abusive relationship,
Yeah.
because you're a people pleaser, right? You're codependent. Um, and then you're like, well, actually, maybe I don't need them in order to survive.
Yeah.
That's hard. Like, that's a scary
I don't have
process.
to serve somebody. Then what do I do with myself?
Right.
Redirect the energy. That's what my former boss told
Right.
me. He's like, when you redirect the energy and put it on yourself, you will be surprised what happens in life.
Right.
So with everything that we talked about, finding your spirituality and realizing but we could do a whole other video about spirituality in the church and all that fun stuff. Because like you said, it's
Yes.
taboo, but I really think it's something that a lot of people are open to talking about. So we'll save that for another day. But with everything
Okay,
we've
great.
had the last couple of years and being in this beautiful spot and sharing with people how to ascend and enlighten in their journey, what has been your favorite lesson through all of
I don't know if any lesson is my favorite, first of all.
it?
um, but I think the most profound realizing that my intuitive gifts are very powerful,
Hmm.
and that I am very powerful, and that I'm not crazy.
Yes, that's what a lot of people need to hear. You are not crazy. You have a bigger purpose. There's a bigger team behind you trying to communicate with you. I love that.
Right. I'm not crazy. I think that has been the most profound.
Mm,
Um, I have I'm now a Reiki master teacher. I have studied hypnotherapy and past life regression. I've studied tarot. I've studied pendulums. I've studied sage and crystals and all of that stuff. I think all of that needs to come from the foundation that you are intuitive, that you are gifted, and that you are sane.
yeah.
There is nothing wrong with you, and that you are not crazy, that you are absolutely beautiful and perfect exactly the way you are right now in this moment.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry. I feel like we're back in the session. I feel like we're back in the mentoring sessions. That safety, that spiritual safe space that you give your clients into the collective. It's honoring who they are and helping them honor themselves.
Absolutely. It's so important.
Absolutely. What
Yeah.
does 2024 look like? We got a couple weeks left in the year, and I know you've had an amazing year. You blew up on TikTok. You're doing great. You're just,
Thank
I
you.
want you, my therapist. I'm like, everybody needs Sabrina and Loretta in their lives, please.
Thank
No
you.
idea what will change in 1 year if you have sessions with. You're just amazing, and I absolutely adore you. What does 2024 look like?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I definitely want to get an online store going. I really want to get that going in 2024. I wish it could have started in 2023. I just had a lot of transitions and I need to honor myself in that way. Um, but 2024, it definitely feels like the year where I'm going to start an online store. I would love to get a storefront eventually at some point, but if that's not in the cards, that's okay. Um, but I also want to I want to challenge myself um, with how many people I can help. I want to I want to challenge myself in that way, and I want to help people really figure out their track. Like if you are on a divine counterpart track, if you are on a single track, if you are on a nomadic track. And I want to help people figure that out. And with the amount of people that um, I've met, I know a lot of people who are able to guide and mentor um, depending on what track you're on,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm on a divine counterpart track,
Mm-hmm.
and right, and then there's the divine masculine, divine feminine that goes along with that, right?
Yes.
So how do we help you get into your highest possible timeline so you can call in your divine counterpart?
Yeah.
If you're on the single track, how do we get you to figure out like what is your path? Like, are you supposed to be doing this, and then nomadic, right? Like, how do we get you into a place where you are bringing in passive income so you can afford your nomadic lifestyle? So you are like, usually nomadic people are really amazing, beautiful lighthouses or beacons, and they go around the world and they spread their light everywhere. Um, and so that's something that I just want to continue to help people, and I want to see how many people I can help.
I can't wait to see
Yeah.
people. Like I said, I will preach till the day this guy takes the last breath out of my lungs, and I'm like, this woman will help you get to where you want to and should be in life.
Thank you. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And here we are recording your podcast. It's amazing.
Literally, because of the beginning of the year, you need to be doing something. Get online, and I was like, that's ridiculous. And here we are. So I need to.
No, it's not ridiculous. It's amazing. You look so incredible too. Like
Oh,
you're asking like incredible questions, and like I'm honestly like these are some of the best questions ever. So I feel like you're doing such an amazing job if I can say that.
when I was little, my dad called me Miss Know It All because he's like, "Why do you ask so many questions? You just have to know everything, don't you?" And I'm like, "There's so much knowledge, Dad. I gotta know everything." I've always been a very inquisitive person, which you picked up on before I even put two and two together, which is why
Yeah,
and our last session, I had a whole complete was my tower moment the last time I talked to you because I was just breaking
yeah,
down. And then you were like, you know what? What does the path look like? Is it going to go? Like, you're like, you said it, you have the options. What do you want to do? We've gone over them all year.
yes,
It's time to make a choice. So
yes.
I'm so, and I just, if you, a storefront, yes, please. Like, just there and help everyone.
It'd be really fun.
It's going to be amazing. Like, it is going to be online. And you said possibly brick and mortar.
I definitely want to start online first, and then I want to see how it goes. Um, I definitely want to do that. And I want to see what happens with that. But more than anything, I want to keep helping people. I want to see how far I can go with that. And I don't know. I might start making some music again. I might I might maybe release a single. That might be really fun.
That would be,
Um,
imagine pairing the two,
that would
like previous and now.
Yeah, it would be wild. It would be really wild. Like I would there's a couple songs that I've got kind of in my that they've been like tucked away, and the few people that have heard them are like you got to release them. So maybe in 2024 we'll see a couple singles come from me. That might be really fun too.
In music. So let's say that there's like, in the future they make a video, a movie out of your life. What would be the
Oh my
intro
God.
song to your life movie? The ending credit song.
Okay. Well, first of all, like, so I remember you sent me these questions, and I was like, I've been really thinking about them a lot. Just the idea of anybody making a movie out of my life just sounds like really insane, but also it'll be a really good movie. So, with that being said, I think I definitely want to start with an homage to the beginning of my life, which was so much classical music and classical training, um, because I am a classically trained musician. Um, and it would either have to be like, there's this piece that I really love, and it's by Smetana called The Moldau.
Mm.
And it's all about the ocean. I grew up in California, and the ocean was like a really big part of my life. Um, but also, I had a past life where my person was a pirate,
Ooh.
and I waited for them. And I also had a past life where I took land from natives
Mm.
from the that lived close to the ocean.
Okay.
And um so I have this like very tumultuous relationship with the ocean. Um, so yeah, I definitely have a past life where my divine counterpart died out at sea and I waited.
Oh.
And and then like living in California, growing up near the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, that was like it's a big part of it. So Smetna, the Moldau.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that would be like that would probably be the opening.
Yeah.
Um, and then I fallen in love with like the new Beatles song this past week. That would absolutely be the closing credits.
Really perfect timing. It
Yes.
just came out.
Yeah. It just came out this past week, and it's about divine counterparts. Um, yeah, it's all about it. It's just like, it's not like very upbeat or anything like that. My story is definitely a love story, 100%.
Both of those songs after this. Listen to them.
Yes.
I love. Where can we find you on your social medias? Do you have Patreons? Where are you at?
Yeah, so I'm on TikTok. My handle everywhere is woke AF mommy, and that is spelled WOKEAFMAMI. Um, and I am on TikTok, I am on Instagram, I am on Patreon, and I am on YouTube.
Whew, everywhere. All the good stuff. And then
All the good
I'll
places.
link all those too. If you're good with that, I'll link them down so people can
Thank you.
see them
Yeah,
easily. Oh my God.
absolutely.
Been complete full circle for me. You've done a lifetime of work to get here, and I am so grateful for that. And
As have you.
our met, and it's just in 2024 is just let the store bloom. All the blessings and the goodness for that. I'm so excited.
Likewise to you. It's gonna be an amazing year. Well, can I ask you what what do you want? What do you want for 2024? What is like what, yeah, what does it look like for you?
It was funny you talked about the nomadic path, and out of all those, definitely the nomadic path. I think that's gonna be my jam. I told my kids, I was like, "How do we feel about like moving to Costa Rica for 6 months and then Mexico for 6 months?" And they were like, "Sure, why not?" And I'm like, "Well, look, if everyone's down, I want to do that. I want to take this on the road. I want to travel with it. I want to talk to everybody similar to you, spreading
Yes.
encouragement, meeting people like yourself that have
Yes.
achieved it and they're living proof that you can do it. I want everybody needs to hear this and they need to learn and get
Yes.
taught by people like you, by you, your team, if you bring people on board. So just kind of spreading the word.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm all the yes. All the yes. 100%.
It's going to be good. I'm excited.
And if you spend 6 months anywhere, I have to go visit you.
Imagine that would be wild.
That'd be so fun.
Everybody helping everyone out. Like get interviewed, get a reading, and then go play the beach.
Oh my, yes, please, let's do that immediately.
I wouldn't even be surprised. I feel like our lives have been so crazy that it's like the most outlandish things are like, that just might happen actually.
It just might happen. And you know what? We're just going to start manifesting it.
That's it.
Love it.
So much. I am forever in like just you've done so much for me. So thank you. That's all I could say.
Thank you for allowing me into your energetic field as always. And thank you for allowing me here in your space. It is a pleasure to connect with you and the millions of people that I'm connecting with every day. I'm extremely humbled every single day by the people that reach out and comment, and it feels like a dream. It feels like a dream that this is what I get to do.
Right.
Um, I get to help people. I get to do this. So
That
thank
just
you.
gave me chills. That's the last part. We're going to end with that. This is living proof, people, that if you do the work and you put the intention, you're a good person. This is what you get to be. Thank
Wonderful. Thank you so
you so
much.
much. Have an amazing
Thank you
rest.
for having me.
Bye.
Thanks, you too.